1. I worked at a small gas station that's connected to a mechanic's lot. We were the first gas station that you see going from upstate, the dense woods, down to the bigger cities, so we're always pretty busy. We have our fair share of crazy customers, but this one lived a short walk up the street from the station and always came by asking for $1 worth of gas in either her huge gas-guzzling truck or a small gas tank that she would walk over to us. She's done a lot of crazy things to get on our nerves, but this one is the one that wins it all. Crazy Regular.
Hi JP, give me $1 in the tank.
As I'm filling her small gas tank, I'm noticing she's rummaging her backpack, cussing. Here we go. Crazy Regular.
I forgot my wallet at home, so when you're done, I'm going to go back and get it.
Me. Okay, you can go back home quick. I'll keep the gas tank in the shop for you when you get back. Crazy Regular.
Let me just save myself the trip and take it with me.
See where this is going? Me. Crazy Regular, you know I can't let you do that. And if I were to let you, I would need to write down your license info, and you would be billed to your house for a lot more than $1. Crazy Regular, literally screaming like a 6-year-old who didn't get her way.
Fine, JP, I'll be back.
So I wait about 3 hours and I take my hour break. Usually I lock myself in the break room type area we have, and as I return, she's sitting at the counter arguing with my coworker about how she won't give her money to him and it must be me. Ugh. Crazy Regular.
There you are.
She holds out her cupped hands, and I kid you not, it was 100 pennies. I held out my hands to take her payment because I can't say no to any type of payment unless we don't accept it in our system like cardless pay. She pulls her hands back and drops the pennies on the floor in front of me and my coworker. And with a disgusting smirk goes, Crazy Regular,
Oh, I'm so sorry, JP. Do you have my gas?
Note that 100 pennies won't fit inside the drawer, and I knew this all along. Me. I don't know what gas you're talking about. Get out of the shop, and honestly, I just wouldn't come back because we're not going to do business with you anymore. Crazy Regular again, like a 6-year-old.
Give me my gas, I paid.
Me. Well, your payment is on the floor and not in our register, so you didn't pay. Leave. As she's picking up the pennies, my coworker is watching over her, inside the shop picking up her pennies, so we can put it in the register while cursing and yelling and all that such. As she finishes scraping up the pennies, I go inside after helping someone else at a pump, and go to the register. Crazy Regular.
Here's your money, asshole!
So I open the register, look at her in her childlike fury and say, Me. All those pennies won't fit inside the till. Do you have any other form of payment? Crazy Regular threw the double fistful of pennies at me and continued on with death threats, and we had to call the police to remove her from the station. She was arrested, and I haven't seen Crazy Regular again. 2. In my town, every Canada Day, July 1st, there's a fair down by the lake. There are rock walls, floats, face painting, the works. All the volunteers wear bright red shirts with white stitching that says, Canada Day, so they are easily identified. So I was about 16, and my family went down for the fair. My little brother and I were having fun doing all the games while my mom sat down for a rest. It's really fucking hot here if you'll pardon my cursing. Eventually my brother needed to use the washroom. I really don't like interactions, so I waited outside for him. As I was waiting, a young-looking mom and her little daughter, maybe 6, 7, came up to me and asked for help moving some prizes. The little girl had won pretty much every game and had some huge teddy bears that she looked so proud of. I didn't know what to say at first, but my brother came out just then, so I told him to wait for me there. I thought it might have been a little irresponsible of me, but the lady only needed help carrying everything to the parking lot inside of the washrooms. So I helped her get everything to her car, packed it all in, she said thank you several times, then asked me who my boss was because she wanted to give me a recommendation. This is where I blanked. The conversation went like this, me, boss? Nice lady. You don't have a volunteer supervisor here? Me, volunteer supervisor? Nice lady. Is this your first time? She said this with infinite patience, which was great for anxious and non-social me. Me, scintillating wordplay, I know. Eventually she pointed at my shirt, then it hit me. I looked down at my chest and saw my bright red shirt with white stitching that said Hockey Night in Canada. It turns out nice lady didn't have her glasses, so she saw the white stitching and thought it was exactly the same as the volunteer shirts. She apologized several times. I told her it was alright. Then she and her daughter drove off happily with the giant teddy bears. 3. I used to work at a big box home improvement store. I also worked construction on the side, which I still continue to do to this day. This happened about a year ago on a very rare no work at all day for me. Now, I have always had a good relationship with my regulars at the store, and have had no problem helping them after my shift had ended, or before I was on the clock. Usually would go outside and have a smoke with them and talk for a bit too. Now, like I said, I was on a very rare no work at all day, and decided to run to the competition simply because it was around the corner from my house, and there was a sale on lumber going on. I needed only a couple things, so I grabbed my dad and we went to the store. At this point, I am in a tank top, shorts and flip-flops, backwards baseball hat and sunnies on, as far out of the typical jeans, t-shirt and steel-toe boots that was the uniform. We arrived at the store. My dad went inside and I saw one of my regulars from my store loading some 6x60s into his truck. So I decided to give him a hand and shoot the shit for a couple of minutes. We had a smoke and talked for a minute, then we left. I heard a person say to me, "Where the hell you think you're going? You need to help me." I assumed he was speaking to someone else, so I just walked inside. I was 2 steps in when I felt a poke on my back. I turned around to see another person who I don't know staring me down. Cue the bullshit. Random person. "Excuse me, I was talking to you." Me. "Oh, sorry, I don't know you." Random person. "I'm a customer. You're supposed to be helping me." Me. "What? I don't..." Random person. "Don't fucking bullshit me. Get your ass out here and load my concrete. I have a bad back." Me. "Yeah, I'm no good. I'm gonna go about my day now, but good luck." Random person. "I'm getting a manager. You're going to be fired." Me. "Oh, please do. I'll wait here." So this person angrily storms off to find a manager, as I wait and talk to the cashiers. They asked if I wanted them to talk to the guy, but I thought this would be better. 5 minutes later, this person returned with a manager. Manager. "Hi, I'm Manager Bob. What seems to be the problem?" Random person. "Your employee here won't help me load concrete, and I saw him helping another customer." Manager. "He doesn't work here. I'll find someone to help." Random person. "Fuck you all, I'm done. I want my money back, now." After that I left and found what I needed, cashed out and left. So, all in all, 5 out of 7, perfect day. 4. I work with self-checkouts at a grocery store. Yesterday we were extremely busy. I had customers at every register and lines wrapped around the store, and we were completely understaffed. I needed a manager override for 2 registers, and of course nobody is picking up the phone. As I'm dialing various phones and paging different people, just trying to get a hold of someone, while also talking to 2 customers, I hear a guy yell, "Yo!" from one of the farther registers from me. I look over and see a guy leaning on the produce scale and scanner, and the machine loudly telling him to remove everything from the scanner. This is something people do 100 times a day. They lean on the scale, ignore the directions, and either get mad or confused when it won't let them continue with their order. So, I hang up the phone and walk over to tell him this, and he instantly gets hostile. Me. "You can't lean on that, it's a scale." Guy. "First of all, don't tell me what I can and can't do, and I wasn't leaning on the scale." Me. "I just watched you lean on it." Guy. "I was not leaning on it." Machine. "Please remove all objects or items from the scanner." Me. "You're literally leaning on it right now." This goes back and forth for a bit. Me telling him it won't let him start if he leans on the scale. Him insisting he isn't leaning on the scale while leaning on it. With him proceeding to make a big show out of looking at my name tag and mispronouncing my very common name. He asks for a manager, so I go over and page someone for like the 5th time. By this point, I've been trying to get a hold of somebody for over 10 minutes so I can help the customers I was already dealing with. He keeps arguing with me and yelling for a manager while I try to tell him I've already called her, and then he drops this bomb on me.
Are you really telling me that because I'm leaning on the scale is the reason I didn't get a receipt?
I never told him that, and until this moment, he never mentioned anything about a receipt. As the whole store was a mess, and there were carts of both bagged and unbagged items scattered everywhere, I didn't even know he had already paid. Just as I was finishing processing that this is what I was supposed to gather from him loudly screaming, "Yo!" at me from 20 feet away, the manager shows up. I go over to my computer and print out a receipt for the guy, while the manager checks the printer on his register. Turns out the roll of paper ran out, and he starts screaming about how I knew it was out of paper because he used to work here. I've never seen him before. Spoiler, when the roll runs out, we literally have no way of knowing until a customer tells us. There's no warning until the next print. So as he's yelling about that, I hand the manager the printed receipt because I don't even want to look at this guy. Finally the dude leaves, yelling at the manager the whole way out. Oddly enough, the two customers that had actually politely made me aware of their problem and had been waiting for like 10 to 15 minutes were very patient and even told me I handled it well. 5. During high school and college, I worked at a grocery store as a cashier. At the time of the incident, I was a little over a year into my work experience, and the customers knew me fairly well as I stuck out in a very Caucasian-washed community. Now, I am not a very intimidating individual. In fact, to give you a vague description, I am a barely reaching 5 foot, medium build, Asian Indian, not Native American, girl who has been raised to be polite and respectful to my elders and peers. However, to also not take any sort of nonsense from anyone. I am not being boastful, but I know that the customers appreciated me. We have a star point system in which customers leave comments or feedback about you, and this results in a star, which can be collected as gift cards, and I had quite a few. Point being, I was not rude to customers, and, as one of my regulars would always ask, "What the hell are you so happy about at 7 in the morning?" He was my favorite person to see at my job. On Saturdays, I usually work the express 10 items or less register from the morning to the afternoon. But this particular day, I picked up an extra 4 hours, and my favorite supervisor, we'll call her Carmen, was working the same shift. Mind you, she is a shorter than me, loud, and takes no shit from anyone Hispanic lady, with a lot of bark. Around our busy time, I will allow customers with a couple of items over 10 to come through the line, just to speed things up. I see a woman that is an all too familiar customer make her way to my line with her mother. This woman is the picture-perfect image of white trash America. The daughter was this horribly obese blonde mullet-haired woman, wearing a beat-up looking t-shirt, and what I assumed were yoga pants, streaked with butt sweat. She was breathing too heavily and wobbled her cart through the crowd, not caring about the people in her path. The mother was a little more refined looking and was always quiet, as her daughter basically treated her like a child. And the daughter essentially lives off her mother and food stamps, as it was always her source of payment. Now, I have assisted this lady before, and she is an absolute witch. The first time I was asked to bag her groceries, and I put the detergent and softener in one bag. I could easily lift and carry this bag, but when I placed it in the cart, the woman lifted it up and threw the bag at me, which thankfully landed on the counter. She says, "Put them in different bags, it's too heavy for my ma to carry." I apologized and did as she asked. I continued to bag her groceries, and she glared at me holding onto her cart, as though I was planning to run off with her lean cuisines and diet sodas. After that, it was always glares, stares, and disgusted looks. Anyways, I see her and her mother coming to my lane with a whole cart full of groceries. I watched her get into my lane behind 2 other customers and waited. Now I know I could not take this woman in my line, so I informed her of this before I start cashing my next customer. Me, "Ma'am, this line is for 10 items or less, and I'm sorry but I cannot cash you out." Trashy, "Oh, my ma has the 10 at the top and I got the rest." Me, "Oh, well, I can take your mother but I cannot cash you out. I am really sorry." Trashy, "Oh, your manager," names another Caucasian lady that works there, "said it was fine." To be clear, Carmen is the only non-Caucasian supervisor at our store, and the woman she mentioned was not working at the time. Me, "Oh, she isn't here at the moment, but I can call my available manager." Trashy looked pissed and gave me that all-too-familiar glare. I turned on my help me light and proceeded to cash out the current customer, who gave me a good luck kid look and leaves. My manager comes over, and then the woman begins to load a few items on the belt. While I cashed out the customer before her, I let Carmen know the situation. Carmen, ma'am, she cannot cash you out here. This is an express lane. Trashy, these 10 are my ma's, and I got the rest. Carmen, I understand that, ma'am, but you will have to join a separate line as you have a lot more than 10. Trashy, I ain't not leaving my ma here. Carmen, you can wait for her or my cashier can bring her over, but you have a cart full of groceries and this line is for a quick checkout. You need to go to another line. Trashy, those lines are full, and I ain't joining another line. Carmen, ma'am, you can go to the 20 or less items and she will cash you and your mother out quickly. Trashy, this is bullshit. I emptied my cart and now you want me to move? Mind you, she only took out her mother's items. I need to speak to the supervisor. Carmen, I am the supervisor. Trashy, the manager. Carmen, he is in a meeting, ma'am. Trashy, a different supervisor. Carmen, all right, I will find her. Trashy, I want both your names. We tell her our names as we both had our name tags on. Trashy, come on, ma, these brown bitches are ridiculous. My neighboring cashier, don't worry about her. Me, man, whatever. She just can't read a sign. I personally felt sorry for her mother. The daughter practically had her on a leash. My supervisor found the woman at checkout and brought our Caucasian blonde-haired supervisor, who apparently knew some secret to the cash register line etiquette. Trashy, the service here is crap. Your co-worker and cashiers are rude. She, points to me, tells me to get out of her line and tells me whatever. I stood there confused as the other supervisor tried to calm her down. Trashy, why you hiring people like them? That supervisor can barely speak English, and she is just a nasty kid. I just rolled my eyes and cashed out the customers that were unfortunately standing behind her during the whole incident. They gave me a look of pity as she made a scene and asked me if I was okay. The supervisor explained the rules of grocery etiquette, while my friend awkwardly scans her items and tells her the total. Trashy looks at my friend and grins at her. Trashy, you have such good manners and are kind, unlike some people here. Looks over at me, chin flailing in the air. You need to run this place. My friend smiles uncomfortably and tells her to have a nice day. Trashy looks at me. Trashy, next time I come here, I ain't coming to you, or when that supervisor works here. Me, I'll see you next Tuesday. Trashy huffed and walked away. I waved bye to her, mouthing by as my co-worker snickered. The blonde supervisor asked me to turn off my light, as she wanted me to speak with her. She asked if I said whatever to Trashy and why I was rude to her. I let her know that I was speaking to my friend, and even though the policy is the customer is always right, they don't have the right to abuse me. She said I should not speak to the customer like that. I let the blonde supervisor know that Carmen and I spoke to her as kindly as possible and notified her of the rules, and due to her not getting her way, she called us brown bitches. And it was not the first time she behaved this way. I let this supervisor know that if I have to take that from the customer, then I will happily give my job to someone that is more suited to Trashy and blonde supervisor's liking. I know some of you will say I am playing the race card, but the customer's behavior towards me and towards my co-workers of Caucasian descent was always noticeably different and unacceptable. No matter the race, customers will prefer someone in management of their own culture or color, just to feel as though they have an advantage. On the positive side, Carmen notified the blonde supervisor that the customer has been problematic with me in the past. It had been noted that when this woman came to the store, it is preferred that a supervisor keep an eye on her interaction, as her outburst was noticed not only by the workers, but by many other customers who could only shake their head and ask me if I was okay. Thankfully, I quit when I transferred to a new college, but to the blonde mullet-head cow, may your grocery bags always rip open halfway to your doorway, and may your coupons always be expired when you are ready to use them. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail number 16. This was actually quite an easy one to record. I had most of the work already done. See, thing is, I like my videos to be about 20 minutes long, at the very least. So sometimes when I'm recording, I think, oh, I like that story, then I'll look back and I'll think, right, a couple of those stories are too short for the video. So I'll move them to the side, intending to use them another day. And it just so happens that over the past few videos, I've had a few stories like that. So the first 4 stories, in conjunction with the very well-written, nice and lengthy last story, meant I only had to record one thing today. So that was nice. A nice lazy day for Hellfreezer. Also, can I have a bit of a whinge? Well, when don't I? I haven't worked in retail previously for almost 15 years. Every now and again, that would crop up, that the customer is always right. And any customer or employer stating that is an idiot. The fact of the matter is it's not a policy. If somebody states it's a policy, just ask them to show you where it actually is a policy, because it should be written down and documented somewhere. It actually comes from, I think, when did it start? Hang on. I'm on Wikipedia here. I think it was Selfridge that started it, wasn't it? Yeah, Harry Gordon Selfridge, John Wanamaker, and Marshall Field. They started spouting nonsense like that. However, there is a very good... Oh dear, it looks like in Japan, they have it even worse, the poor retail workers there. In Japan, the customer isn't always right. They are in fact God. Well, that's a hell of a promotion. And there's also... Oh, I like that. Somebody being reasonable in 1914. It says, if we adopt the policy of admitting whatever claims the customer makes to be proper, and if we always settle them at face value, we shall be subjected to inevitable losses. And the 21st century equivalent of that would be, you want to do the best for your customers. You want to make sure that when they leave your establishment, whatever it may be, that they do so happy and content with the purchases they've made. However, some people are just dicks, and they will take advantage, and you can't help them no matter what. Okay, I think we can wrap it up there. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.